any worry going on in the WNBA executive offices, if there is no worry, oh, people aren't going to turn off, oh, people are still going to show up, if that was the thought that they were having up there in WNBA La La Land, well, now might be the time to hit the panic button. 48 hours after news hits that Caitlin Clark is injured and she'll be missing 2 weeks, the market has responded and the market has told the WNBA.
No doubt that's about to happen. The WNBA teams that moved their games, this is about to be catastrophic.
The WNBA's biggest fear may have just become a reality. Caitlin Clark's quad injury is already creating major ripple effects across the league. Teams that moved games to larger arenas expecting huge crowds for her appearance could now be facing thousands of empty seats. Some fans are requesting refunds, others are canceling their plans, and many are choosing not to attend games while Clark remains sidelined. Her absence has reignited the conversation about just how much impact one player has on the league's popularity and attendance. What do you think? Are fans showing loyalty by boycotting WNBA games while Caitlin Clark is injured? Or has that support gone too far? Let us know your opinion in the comments below.
But we don't want this. What am I talking about? Indiana Fever ticket prices to games over the next 2 weeks have dropped 42% since Caitlin Clark's injury announcement, an average ticket price of $137.
The WNBA couldn't have picked a worse time for this. Caitlin Clark, the player widely credited with driving record TV ratings, sold-out arenas, and unprecedented attention to the league, is now sidelined with a quad injury. Her absence comes at a critical moment, leaving the league to face the challenge of moving forward without its biggest attraction. As Clark recovers, the impact of her absence will be closely watched, with attendance, television audiences, and overall fan engagement all under the spotlight.
I don't know when it happened. I know afterwards, we got a message that she had something going on with her leg, and they were getting an MRI, and we got the word yesterday.
Was it after the Liberty game on Saturday?
Is that her last game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Steph, you had a chance to.
Let's take a closer look at what's really happening here. According to Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White, Caitlin Clark will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. However, anyone familiar with quad injuries knows that timeline is often just an initial estimate. Recovery can realistically take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, depending on how she responds to treatment. This isn't a minor setback. It's a legitimate injury that requires proper healing. And that's where the story becomes even more interesting. Several WNBA teams made major financial investments expecting Clark to be on the court. The Washington Mystics moved their matchup against Indiana to a larger arena in Baltimore with 15,000 seats. The Chicago Sky relocated their game to the United Center, while Dallas shifted its matchup to the American Airlines Center, home of the Mavericks. These weren't small decisions. They involved extensive marketing campaigns, higher venue costs, additional security, and expanded staffing, all based on the drawing power of one player.
I don't know how things work in pretend basketball. I don't know the history of transparency when it comes to timelines for injury returns in the WNBA. But I do know in the NBA, teams are rarely transparent with injuries. When the Pelicans say Zion Williamson will be reevaluated in 2 weeks,
these same teams are now facing what could become some of their lowest attendance numbers in years. Fans aren't being subtle about their intentions either. Across social media, many are saying they'll sell their tickets, cancel their plans, or boycott games until Caitlin Clark returns. One fan wrote that they were selling their Fever Mystics tickets because they didn't want to travel from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore without the chance to see Clark play. Another said they would only watch Fever games on delay, so their live view wouldn't count toward the league's ratings. These aren't isolated reactions. They reflect the frustration of supporters who believe their favorite player hasn't been treated fairly. For many fans, the issue goes beyond Clark's injury. They believe it's about how the league has handled her since the day she arrived. Throughout her career, there has seemed to be a constant tension between benefiting from her popularity and downplaying her impact. Players, analysts, and media members often argue that the spotlight should be shared and that other stars deserved equal recognition. The problem with that approach is simple. You can't build your marketing strategy around one player and then act surprised when her absence creates a massive void. When Clark was on the court, WNBA television ratings reached unprecedented levels. Games that once attracted around 200,000 viewers suddenly drew well over 1 million. Arenas that once struggled to sell 5,000 tickets were filling venues with 20,000 seats. Yet instead of fully embracing that reality, the league often appeared uncomfortable with how much attention centered around Clark. Rather than acknowledging that one player had become the biggest driver of the league's growth, there was a continued effort to spread the narrative elsewhere. Now the league may find out exactly what attendance and television ratings look like without its biggest attraction. Clark's injury has also raised difficult questions. Many fans are wondering whether she returned too quickly after dealing with quad issues during the preseason. In a league with a condensed schedule and increasingly physical play, protecting your biggest star should have been the top priority. Instead, the league now faces the possibility of its most marketable player missing a significant portion of the season. From a business perspective, that's a major setback. The WNBA had finally built incredible momentum. Television deals were improving, mainstream media coverage was expanding, and sponsor interest had reached new heights. Much of that momentum was fueled by Clark's ability to attract casual sports fans who otherwise might never have watched women's basketball. Those viewers aren't necessarily loyal to a particular team or player. Many tuned in because Clark captured their attention, and without her, that interest could disappear. That's not a criticism of the league's other talented stars. It's simply how star power has always worked in professional sports. The attendance impact could be especially significant. Moving games from 7,000-seat arenas into 20,000-seat venues is a major financial gamble. Those teams weren't hoping just to break even. They expected sellout crowds and premium ticket sales. Now they're facing the possibility of partially empty arenas despite the added venue costs, staffing, security, and marketing expenses. Images of thousands of empty seats on national television could send a powerful message about the league's drawing power without Clark. Sponsors and broadcast partners notice those images, and they could influence future business decisions. What makes the situation even more frustrating for many fans is the belief that much of it could have been avoided. The league had a tremendous opportunity to embrace Clark's popularity while also promoting its other stars. Instead, many felt there was an unnecessary reluctance to fully recognize everything she brought to the game. The reaction from fans appears to reflect that frustration. After months of hearing that their favorite player wasn't the entire story, many are now choosing to step away until she returns. Whether people agree with that response or not, it highlights just how closely many fans connect the current surge in WNBA interest with Caitlin Clark's presence. The WNBA may be learning the hard way that fan loyalty often follows individual stars. Some people argue that boycotting games while Caitlin Clark is injured goes too far. They'll say fans should continue supporting the league and its other talented players regardless of who's on the court. But many supporters see things differently. A large number of these fans didn't become WNBA followers first. They became Caitlin Clark fans, and that's what introduced them to the league. That's an important distinction. The WNBA had an opportunity to turn Clark's audience into long-term league fans, but doing that required actively building that connection. Instead, many assumed that once people started watching, they would naturally become invested in every team and player. That's rarely how casual sports fans operate. The financial impact extends well beyond ticket sales and television ratings. Merchandise sales could decline, sponsorship activations become more difficult, and media coverage naturally slows when the league's biggest attraction isn't on the court. The ripple effects reach every part of the league's business. Many fans also wonder whether this situation could have been avoided through better load management, stronger injury prevention, and a more cautious approach after Clark's earlier quad issues. If short-term business priorities influenced those decisions, the consequences are now becoming impossible to ignore. The timing couldn't be worse. The WNBA had finally built significant momentum, but sustaining that growth requires consistency. When your biggest star is sidelined for an extended period, casual viewers may simply move on to something else, and there's no guarantee they'll return. Now all eyes are on how the league responds. Will it openly acknowledge Clark's enormous impact, or continue insisting that no single player is bigger than the league? Attendance figures and television ratings over the coming weeks will likely become part of that conversation. Ironically, after spending months emphasizing that the league's success extends beyond one player, the WNBA now faces the challenge of proving it during Clark's absence. The boycott movement, meanwhile, reflects more than concern over an injury. Many fans believe the player who introduced them to the league hasn't always received the respect she deserves. Combined with Clark's absence, that frustration has created a perfect storm. Teams that invested heavily in larger venues, expanded marketing campaigns, and higher expectations based on her drawing power may now face the financial consequences of those decisions. It's a reminder of both the value and the risk of building so much momentum around one superstar. In the weeks ahead, the league will get a clear look at what attendance, television audiences, and media attention look like without its biggest attraction. Whatever the outcome, this situation will become another chapter in the ongoing discussion about the balance between individual star power and the growth of the league as a whole. What do you think about the entire situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. We'll see you in the next video.